Hey Grasshoppers, we are reading chapter 15 today, which is called The Chocolate Room. I've just realised I haven't looked at what your comments were yesterday about what you thought would happen in the chocolate room, so I'm going to check that after I read this and see if you were right. An important room this, cried Mr. Willy Wonka, taking a bunch of keys from his pocket and slipping one into the keyhole of the door. This is the nerve centre of the whole factory, the heart of the whole business, and so beautiful. I insist upon my rooms being beautiful. I can't abide ugliness in factories. That means he doesn't like the factories to be ugly. In we go then, but do be careful, my dear children. Don't lose your heads. Don't get overexcited. Keep very calm. Mr. Wonka opened the door. 5 children and 9 grown-ups pushed their ways in, and oh, what an amazing sight it was now that met their eyes. What do you think they can see? They were looking down upon a lovely valley. There were green meadows on either side of the valley. Green meadows, like a green field, inside the factory. And along the bottom of it, there flowed a great brown river. Why do you think that river was brown? Think about the clue and the name of what this room is. What is more, there was a tremendous waterfall halfway along the river, a steep cliff over which the water curled and rolled in a solid sheet, and then it went crashing down into a boiling, churning whirlpool of froth and spray. Below the waterfall, and this was the most astonishing sight of all, a whole mass of enormous glass pipes were dangling down into the river from somewhere high up in the ceiling. They were really enormous, these pipes. There must have been a dozen of them at least, and they were sucking up the brownish, muddy water from the river and carrying it away to goodness knows where. And because they were made of glass, you could see the liquid flowing and bubbling along inside them. And above the noise of the waterfall, you could hear the never-ending sucking sound of the pipes as they did their work. Graceful trees and bushes were growing all along the riverbanks. Weeping willows and alders, I think that's a type of tree, and tall clumps of rhododendrons, that's a really big, massive, bushy bush with bright pink flowers, and their pink and red and mauve blossoms. In the meadows, there were thousands of buttercups. You ever played with a buttercup and you put it under your chin? See if you like butter? See if you can see the yellow on your chin? There, cried Mr. Willy Wonka, dancing up and down and pointing his gold-topped cane at the great brown river. It's all chocolate. Every drop of that river is hot, melted chocolate of the finest quality. The very finest quality. That means it's the best. There's enough chocolate in there to fill every bathtub in the entire country, and all the swimming pools as well. Isn't it terrific? Just look at my pipes. They suck up the chocolate and carry it away to all the other rooms in the factory where it is needed. Thousands of gallons an hour, my dear children. Thousands and thousands of gallons. Wow, look, this is Willy Wonka in this chocolate factory. That's the river. These are some of the rhododendrons. And this is a bit hard, it's backwards for me. There you go. So that's the waterfall of chocolate coming down into the river of chocolate. Yummy, I'd like to go swimming in that. The children and their parents were too flabbergasted to speak. Flabbergasted, great word, means surprised. It's one of my favourite words actually, flabbergasted. The children and their parents were too flabbergasted to speak. They were staggered. They were dumbfounded. They were bewildered and dazzled. That means they were really shocked. They were completely bowled over by the hugeness of the whole thing. They simply stood and stared. Can you pretend to be them, standing and staring? The waterfall is most important, Mr. Wonka went on. It mixes chocolate, it churns it up, it pounds it and beats it, it makes it light and frothy. No other factory in the world mixes its chocolate by waterfall, but it's the only way to do it properly. The only way. And do you like my trees? He cried out, pointing with his stick. And my lovely bushes? Don't you think they all look pretty? I told you I hate ugliness, and of course they are all eatable. All made of something different and delicious. And do you like my meadows? Do you like my grass and my buttercups? The grass you are standing on, my dear little ones, is made of a new kind of soft, minty sugar that I've just invented. It's called swudge. Try a blade of grass. Please do. It's delectable. Automatically, everyone bent down and picked up one blade of grass. Everybody, that is, except Augustus Gloop, who took a big handful. Augustus. And Violet Beauregard, before tasting her blade of grass, took the piece of world record breaking chewing gum out of her mouth and stuck it carefully behind her ear. Isn't it wonderful? Whispered Charlie. Hasn't it got a wonderful taste, Grandpa? I could eat the whole field, said Grandpa Joe, grinning with delight. I could go around on all fours like a cow and eat every blade of grass in the field. Try a buttercup, cried Mr. Wonka. They're even nicer. Suddenly the air was filled with screams of excitement. The screams came from Veruca Salt. She was pointing frantically to the other side of the river. Look over there, she screamed. What is it? He's moving. He's walking. It's a little person. It's a little man down there below the waterfall. Everybody stopped picking buttercups and stared across the river. She's right, Grandpa, cried Charlie. It is a little man. Can you see him? I see him, Charlie, said Grandpa Joe excitedly, and now everybody started shouting at once. There's two of them! My gosh, so there is! There's more than two. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here are the little people. What are they doing? Where do they come from? Who are they? Children and parents alike rushed down to the edge of the river to get a closer look. Aren't they fantastic? No higher than my knees. They don't come up any higher than their knees. Do you know any people that don't come up higher than your knees? Look at their funny long hair. The tiny men, they were no larger than medium-sized dolls, had stopped what they were doing, and now they were staring back across the river at the visitors. One of them pointed towards the children, and then he whispered something to the other 4, and all 5 of them burst into peals of laughter. But they can't be real people, Charlie said. Of course they're real people, Mr. Wonka answered. They're Oompa Loompas. And that is the end of chapter 15. See you back here tomorrow for the next chapter, which is called The Oompa Loompas. Bye, grasshoppers.